Thank you for listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast, where we discuss the latest and greatest news in the world of sports. I am Ben.
I'm Alex. Hey, guys.
How's everybody doing? You know you can't really answer that because you're just listening.
Scream it, whatever you're listening to.
And I hope that you're doing well, because Alex and I are both doing really well, right?
I'm doing good.
Yeah, I'm doing great, too.
It's breezy here today.
Yesterday was fantastic.
Yeah, it was a nice breeze. I like the weather lately as opposed to last week's Armageddon heat.
Last week was a nightmare.
Yeah. How are you doing?
I'm doing well.
Yeah.
Doing really well.
Good.
I feel like every day I wake up more and more alert.
Like you're really getting the hang of this life thing?
I guess so. After 23 years, I'm finally getting a hang of it.
I'm good. I'm happy to hear that because that's
I shouldn't say that, but
disappointing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Every day is a good day, as long as you know what I mean.
I'm happy to hear that.
I'm happy to state that.
Did you watch the finals last night?
I watched the first three quarters because by the time the fourth quarter rolled around,
it's pretty decided.
Didn't really need to watch it.
Yeah, for those of you who didn't watch the NBA Finals last night, 120-90 in favor of the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Yeah, Game 3, so now the Warriors have a 2-1 series lead. The Cavs won last night.
What did you notice in the game last night, would you say?
Well, we mentioned on Tuesday that we both thought that the Cavs would win Game 3, which they obviously did. And I had mentioned that I weren't sure how they were going to win, but they ended up winning. So going into last night's game, it was announced basically during the middle of the day that Kevin Love was not going to play, which, if you look at that, you're thinking to yourself, oh, boy, things couldn't get any worse for Cleveland. Now they don't have one of their big three, probably their third best player in Kevin Love. It's going to be a lot worse now. But if you look at the game, you might say that was a blessing in disguise.
Well, I definitely think that LeBron James kind of obviously took the game over. He had 32 points last night, 3 of 5 from the free throw range. He only took 2 threes, but he hit one of them. Pretty efficient from the floor, 14 for 26. Pretty good game for him. He did have 5 turnovers, but you live and die with those when you're scoring 32 points. And then on the flip, Kyrie Irving had 30 as well.
Yeah, he had 16 in the first quarter as well. He really lit it up in the first quarter. I think he shot 7 of 9 in the first quarter.
Yeah, he was really doing efficient work out there on the court. And then you have guys like even J.R. Smith came out with 20 points last night.
He finally didn't hesitate. He actually shot the ball last night. He only had 8 points in the first 2 games combined.
Exactly, yeah. And their bench, again, wasn't amazing like normal, but...
The Cavaliers did not have a bench point until the fourth quarter, Alex.
Yeah.
When the game was really out of hand.
Guys like Iguodala on the flip side did play well off the bench. What did you see from Klay Thompson? 10 points scored, 4 of 13 from the field, 1 of 7 from three-point range.
Yeah, both Klay and Steph really struggled. On all 3 games so far, they've both struggled. The Splash Brothers have, they've not been getting the shots to fall. Klay had a little injury hiccup there. He got hit on the thigh by Mozgov on a screen after the game.
And he got elbowed in the face later, too.
After the game, Thompson actually said it was a dirty play. I don't agree with that. Maybe he just got a little caught up in the moment there, but... He has like a contusion on his thigh, which is really just a fancy word for a bruise. So,
yeah.
I mean, they're not playing well, Curry and Thompson. And if you look at the grand scheme of things, they are up 2-1 without them playing well. You got to think that they're going to sort of turn on the Jets eventually and play well.
I mean, you kind of have to. It's just one of those, like, how are you going to hold them off so long,
Exactly.
I think Steph is definitely not playing... like Steph right now. He
shot 6 of 13 last night, only 19 points.
3 of 9 from the field, too. I mean, he did have 4 for 4 on the free throw line, but he 6 turnovers. Yeah, to me, he just looked kind of funny. You know what I mean?
He doesn't look like he's, I don't know, all there. I wouldn't say he's injured. I think he's healthy. At one point in the game, Steve Kerr took him out. He was really frustrated with him, and he actually looked over to him, and he was like, Steph, are you okay? Like, you all right? Like, what's going on here? So he doesn't, I don't know, maybe mentally if he's there. I don't really know what to say. And it's weird because after watching last night's game and hearing all this talk, you would think that the Golden State Warriors are on the brink of elimination when they really still have the series lead. And there's like an old saying in sports that, a series doesn't start until the road team wins a game. So in all 3 games here, the home team's won them all.
Yes.
So I still think the Warriors are still looking pretty good. You got to, like we mentioned, you got to think these two turn it on eventually and get it together. Credit to the Cavalier defense out there on the perimeter. They're doing a really good job, especially last night. With the addition of Richard Jefferson coming in for Kevin Love, who missed the game with a concussion. They added another perimeter defender, and they really decided to match up with the Warriors with the small ball, which is what the Warriors like to do. So with the addition of Jefferson, that puts LeBron James at the power forward position, guarding Draymond Green off the start. And then you have Jefferson against Barnes, and you have Thompson and Bogut who really match up at the center position. So with that addition of the perimeter defender of Jefferson, that means you can put a more lengthy guy like LeBron on Draymond Green, which is really similar to how Ibaka and Durant played Draymond Green in the Western Conference Finals. So Green really struggled, only had 6 points last night.
Yeah, Green did have a rough go of it last night, which is what we say he can't do as that third kind of big power on the team. You can't have him struggle as well. I mean, he played so well in the game before, and he was 0 for 4 from three-point range, only 2 for 8. He added 2 free throws. He played decently in terms of rebounds. He had 7, but yeah, you can't get that. I mean, he played 36 minutes, his most at all, and he had his starters, and he had 6 points to show for it.
He only took 8 shots. I feel like the Warriors, they got off to that really bad start in the first quarter there. The Cavaliers really jumped on them in the first quarter, and in the second quarter, the Warriors sort of came back, and it was an 8-point lead at the half for the Cavs. And I thought to myself, the Cavs are by 8. They're dominating the game. Steph Curry had 2 points at halftime, and the Warriors only down 8. I felt like everything was in the Warriors' favor, only down 8, playing so bad. Yeah. But in that third quarter, the Cavs really took control. LeBron was hitting the jump shots in the third quarter. Kyrie Irving was stepping up. And then by the time we got to the fourth quarter, they had already outscored them by 12 in the third. In the fourth quarter, they were up by 20, and it was
they outscored them every quarter but the second pretty easily as well, 16-33. 26-38, 21-31, only one being the second there where they were outscored. Cleveland was outscored 27-18. So, I mean, they did handle their business pretty much. I mean, they couldn't have lost that game. They needed to win that game. They really did.
Absolutely.
And I think that, I mean, they are favored going into tomorrow's game, like you said.
Yeah, 1.5 point favorites, which 1.5 you call it 2 on a home court is really not that much. So. It's interesting because all 3 games of this final so far have really been kind of like the standard of this whole postseason, just blowout city. You have the Warriors winning by 30. I think it was 33 in Game 2. You have the Cavs winning by exactly 30 last night. Game 1, it was a 15-point win for the Warriors. So none of these games have really been down-to-the-wire games, and a lot of time this postseason as well.
Yeah, almost all of the Thunder series, back and forth somewhat, were blowouts. Definitely the first 2 games in this series as well. It hasn't been that entertaining in terms of close games, I should say, this year either.
Yeah, I'd say if you're a fan of whichever home team is playing, then you're having a great night. Other than that, as a neutral fan, you're not really getting that finals experience. These games are all been out of hand.
Like me as a Kings fan, I'm not really, it's not interesting to me if it's not a close game. I mean, if I was a Warriors fan, game 1's 2, great.
Absolutely.
Cavs fan last night, that's awesome. Kind of flip-flop, miserable otherwise, But as if not a fan really of either team and a fan more of the sport, when my team isn't playing and I do enjoy watching playoff basketball, it's kind of been a letdown this year, excluding those last, I want to say, 2 to 3 games in the Thunder series.
Yeah.
Kind of disappointing.
Okay, Alex, so here's my question to you.
Okay.
So Kevin Love did not play last night, as we mentioned. He was out with the concussion. They had Richard Jefferson come in. He played pretty well. He had 9 points, 8 rebounds, 4 of 7 shooting. And we mentioned he added that perimeter defender, which forced the Cavaliers to go small. If Kevin Love is healthy for Game 4, do you put him in the starting lineup, or do you keep this sort of formula of if it isn't broken, don't fix it with what happened in Game 3 with Jefferson, and you maybe bring in Kevin Love off the bench?
Bring him in off the bench.
Yeah.
Same lineup as last night. They've looked miserable with him in the game so far this final series. And we talked about it, not last show, or did we talk about it last? No, maybe the show prior, that Kevin Love is just not, we previewed the series. He's just not the greatest defender.
Yeah.
And I think that they really kind of showed something new last night with the kind of defense they played and with Jefferson playing out there on the perimeter. I think start with that, If it's working, Bring him in off the bench. He scores points for the most part, but they've looked like a better team with him off the court. So I would say bring him in off the bench. Keep doing what you did last night because it clearly was working. Something was working last night,
Everything worked for them last night. They won by 30, but to kind of piggyback off Alex here, I think what you mentioned, I would agree. If I would say Kevin Love, maybe bring him off the bench because you have that. Like we mentioned, the Cavs did not score a bench point until the fourth quarter. Mm-hmm. So they got no production at all from their fourth quarter. The game was already out of hand by the time the bench came in and scored. So if you bring Love off the bench, you have him going up against some of the guys like the Warriors would match up with Iguodala,
Livingston,
Leandro Barbosa, Livingston, as you mentioned, those bench guys. So you can maybe have a little bit of bench scoring there. You have the added perimeter defender of Richard Jefferson. But the thing is with me, Kevin Love in Minnesota was the guy. He was the star. He's a max guy. He's making $20 million a year. Comes to Cleveland, everyone's kind of questioning, does he really fit in here? Do the players really like him? Is he kind of like the outcast? So now if you bring him in off the bench, you're kind of saying, okay, Kevin Love, you are the outcast. We won by 30 without you. You're just going to be an added guy here. Does that position to bring him off the bench, does that mess up his mindset at all? Does that mess up his psyche at all?
You would hope not. You would hope he's kind of more, he wants to win with the team.
You would hope, but do you think that would be the situation?
It could be tough for him, I imagine. It could be a tough situation.
I agree. Yeah. But I think the best case would be to bring him off the bench.
I agree with you.
He's not a good defender.
No.
He cannot guard Draymond Green to save his life.
No.
Draymond Green lit him up in Game 1 and Game 2. His offense was not going there. I say bring him off the bench.
I think that's a good call. I agree with you there.
So, okay, I kind of want to talk more about this Kevin Love situation.
Real quick. We will get back into that in just a second. We can take a break, though.
Okay.
We can't give him too much. We can't give him too much.
Got to tease him. Got to give him something after the break.
We'll talk about, you say Kevin Love?
Yes.
In just a minute. We'll be right back at the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Don't go anywhere.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
And welcome back here to the Golden State Media Concept Sports Podcast alongside Alex. I am Ben. We teased a little bit about Kevin Love here. I want to dive deep into this a little bit before we jump into the NHL Stanley Cup Finals. So, Alex, say for instance that Cleveland does not win this series, okay? Which is still a really good chance because, after all, the Warriors do have the home court. In order for Cleveland to win this series, they have to win a game in Oakland.
Yes.
The Warriors have not lost there at home all year in the postseason except for Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals against the Thunder.
Mm-hmm.
Say, for instance, they don't win this series. With Kevin Love, what do you think the Cavaliers do with him?
Gone.
You think so?
Gone.
Think they'd try and trade him?
Trade him.
Well, they'd have to trade him. He's still under contract, but...
Yeah, they wouldn't release him. Yeah, I think they tried to trade him.
I agree, man. I feel like he's just the outcast here.
They're not winning with him. I mean...
Say, for instance, they do win. They come back and win, okay? Then what do you do with Kevin Love?
Trade him.
You still get rid of him no matter what.
Sell him on the high.
Oh, man. How could you tear up a team that won a championship? I know that teams like in baseball have done it before. I know the Marlins did it.
Because you know why they're in the championship. Do you think the Cavaliers would be in the NBA Finals with Kyrie and Kevin Love playing?
In the East, yes.
Just the two of them.
East is that weak. They did not get challenged at all in the East. You could say that the Eastern Conference Finals with the Raptors went 6 games, but they were not challenged at all. So I'd say yes.
Okay.
But
I don't know. I think when you have LeBron, you have some room. You have some space for all that.
Okay, but who do you bring in? If you're trading Kevin Love, you have to look at a team that would maybe want him. I'd say something like maybe Boston.
I'm in no place to determine that. You know what I mean? But I think they seem like a better team without Kevin Love on the court, in my opinion. And
honestly, we haven't had much of a, example there. We've only seen one game.
I mean, in the past too. Last year, they seemed like a better team when he's not playing.
They're definitely a different team.
It seems like they can do more things.
I'd agree with you. So
there's a while
you're
there
going
where
to get
people
rid of him no matter win, lose, or draw.
I don't know. I mean, with winning, it's going to give you a little bit more of a look as, nothing's really wrong to fix it kind of deal. But I think if they lose, which I still think they are going to lose this series, I think, yeah, trade them to a team like Boston.
That's tough. That's tough to do, especially if you win.
I guess.
It's like, okay, Kevin, we just won the championship.
Get out.
You're a great guy, but the show's over.
Show's over. Get out of here. I don't know, man. I don't think. I just think they're better without him, man.
They definitely played a lot well without him last night.
A lot well, indeed, Ben.
A lot well.
They did play better, I think, last night with him, and in the finals last year without him too. There was a time there where people thought Kevin Love getting him was like a bust kind of transaction, like it wasn't worth it.
Right away, too. Right when they made the trade. Because in Minnesota, we mentioned he was the guy. Everything went through him. Here, he's really the third option.
Yeah, like he is not the player he was in Minnesota now with the Cavaliers. No question, he is not the same player.
No,
not at all. And I think he's more of a kind of player that needs to be the guy on the team because that's how he gets his points, gets his stats. I don't think he's as much of a piece of the pie as he is more so, like the fork that you eat it with. He needs to be on. He needs to be used. He's less of a piece with the team. He's more of the guy. And I think he hasn't been that with the Cleveland Cavaliers, and I think he won't be that unless he's with a team where LeBron's going to be the guy no matter who's on that team.
Yeah, absolutely.
You could have Michael Jordan on that team right now.
Kyrie's going to play second fiddle there.
Exactly, and Kyrie's a great young player, and he's still playing. So he would be the guy on any other team. And he's playing. He was the guy, and then LeBron came back, and he's like, well, I guess you're the guy.
I guess you kind of own the city again, so.
I guess this is your domain.
All right, so we're going to have Game 4 tomorrow night. It's going to be in Cleveland. I'm interested to see what Ty Lue does if he starts Kevin Love. If he's even medically cleared to play, I would think that he would be with another 2 days off. It's going to be interesting to see if he sticks with this lineup here. Maybe if the Warriors change their lineup, they recognize that Cleveland has changed theirs. Maybe they go with an Iguodala swap. I don't think so. I think you have to look at the series as a whole. They just got outplayed last night, more aggressive by the Cavs, just out-dominated. The Warriors are still in a very good position here, so we'll have to see what happens. I want to see what Ty Lue does with Kevin Love, though. It's going to be interesting to find out.
I agree. I think it's going to be pretty interesting. We're going to go ahead and shift over to the NHL Finals in Game 5 of the Stanley Cup Finals. It happens tonight.
Yes, sir.
In Pittsburgh. What do you see happening tonight? You think Penguins going to close it out?
I really do. They played so well in Game 4 in San Jose. They're coming back home here. There's fans already lining up to get in the arena. You know that? Like, already.
And that's funny, too, because you have seats. Like, it's not like first come, first serve. Like, you guys have seats.
It's not like someone's going to steal your spot.
Yeah, and the game's not until 5 tonight, 8 Eastern. And
it's currently 10:04. So we're 7 hours before the game starts.
Exactly. You got some time, guys. And it's like I said, it's not, general admission.
Better to do.
I guess not, unless they're just trying to have an all-day party.
Or they're just that, passionate about their team.
It is an excuse to skip work, I guess.
I have one time I did take a day off work to watch a championship parade.
I've never worked a day ever. I've never worked a Super Bowl ever. Not once in my life.
I haven't either. I take them all off. That's just how sports is sometimes. People are so passionate about their events, their teams.
Yeah, man. I don't work
their fixtures.
And I try to, especially when my team is in a championship or like the World Series or something, I try to make sure I watch those games.
Absolutely.
But so you think the Penguins are going to close it out tonight?
I do. Just the difference in the series has been their defense. They're going to have a added addition of the home crowd tonight. I don't see how the Sharks can win tonight.
I think the reason the Sharks have been playing so down is they were normally, throughout the season, overall rankings, goals per game, they were 4th in the NHL. Power play percentage, they were 3rd in the NHL. And both of those things have really been negated by the Penguins. The Penguins have really been handling their business. They've really been coming out. They've been scoring first. Did you know that the Sharks have not led 1 second of the Stanley Cup? They won.
Yeah, the only lead
in
they had
overtime.
is the overtime game 3 win.
Yeah, the Penguins have not trailed for 1 second of the Stanley Cup. And, I mean, that relates over to also the goals per game in the NHL this year. The Penguins had third overall, which, very good. But their penalty kills this year have been amazing. Fifth in the NHL, only to the 21st overall ranking of the the Sharks. That has really shown in this Stanley Cup. Their kill rate is fifth best in the NHL, and against the third best overall scoring percentage of power plays the Sharks have, they've really stopped that, and that's the Sharks game. They've really. I mean, the Sharks have, like I said, they haven't been scoring on their power plays, and they haven't led a second of this. They have not been in charge of this series once.
Not at all. Just for that Game 3 win when they won in overtime. An interesting stat here that of the 11 major championships won by Pittsburgh teams, obviously you have the Steelers, Pirates, Penguins. I know you know about the Steelers, Alex.
I do. I know everything about the Steelers.
Of the 11 major championships won by them since 1960, not one of them has been won on home ice or home turf.
I saw that statistic today, which is hard because you can't win Super Bowls at home usually. No team has ever done that. And, they haven't clinched in Pittsburgh in terms of a World Series in a long time.
How big would that be for that city?
That'd be huge.
This would be the first time.
Because they have this game and then they're back in San Jose? Or is it this game and the next and they're back in San Jose?
Well, if they win tonight, it's over.
Well, I mean,
if they go to Game 6, they'll be back in San Jose.
Yeah, so. And then for both games, right?
No. Game 7 would be in
Pittsburgh. We'd be back in Pittsburgh? Well, yes. Okay, so if they have to clinch tonight to do it in Pittsburgh, otherwise they have to wait till Game 7, hopefully, for them.
To win at home.
Yeah, to win at home. Yeah. Do you have any top favorites for the Conn Smythe?
Conn Smythe is the MVP of the series. With the sort of difference here being the Pittsburgh defense, I think the guy who really fronts that defense is the goalkeeper, Murray. I'd say
Matt Murray is my pick for it as well.
Yeah, he's had a great series. He's only given up at the most 2 goals in one game there. So they're not letting the puck get through the net.
Yeah, he's been playing amazing.
He's the leader of that defense. He defends the post. I'd say with him, you can maybe mention Evgeny Malkin, maybe Sidney Crosby with the face-off wins, but I'd go with Murray to start.
Yeah, Murray's my pick. I like it.
Which is ironic because mainly a lot of times with these big awards, you don't have a goalkeeper being sort of the trophy winner. You have the guy getting the goals, the assists.
Yeah, I would say like Crosby or Malkin, yeah.
But basketball, football. So.
Exactly. He's really been the guy.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. I think Murray is my leading candidate as well.
Yeah,
definitely. Sorry, I didn't mean to step on your toes there.
You didn't step on them. We're across the table from each other, so you literally can't step on them.
That's true. We're going to take one last break here, and we're going to get into a fun little topic for the day. Is Forbes put out their list of highest paid athletes in the world, pretty much, of the last year, I think.
Yes. So for 2016, it came out yesterday.
All right. So the world's highest paid athletes. We're going to get into that in just a second. So we'll be right here at the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Don't go anywhere, and Ben and I will be right back.
Do you want to be healthier, yet you just don't know what to do? All these shows telling you this and that, but nothing seems to work. Well, listen close. Golden State Media Concepts has got something great for you. The Health and Wellness Podcast dedicated to workout trends, healthy eating habits, diet, and everything about healthy living. Join us in our banters as we help you not just live life to the fullest, but live it to the healthiest.
And we're back here at the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast with a little bit of breaking news before we get into the Forbes list of the world's highest paid athletes. But Rafael Nadal of Tennis Glory has withdrawn from the Wimbledon tournament due to a wrist injury.
Yeah, it was his left wrist injury. That was the one that kept him to withdraw from the French Open as well. So Nadal out at Wimbledon, another big name, not in probably the most prestigious tennis tournament in the world.
Yeah, he's already forced out of the French Open, where he is a 9-time champion because of that wrist. And he's won 2 Wimbledons as well. So pretty unfortunate news for him there. He was able to play a second match second round match, which he won, but then he had gotten an injection to numb the pain into the little tournament they've been doing, the pre-tournament. So yeah, he's got some wrist problems. I don't know, man. It's hard to get around when it's your wrist. You're a tennis player. That's tough.
Yeah, especially it's his left wrist. It's his left wrist. Sorry,
it's okay.
Which is his dominant hand. That's the hand he uses. So he's predominantly left-handed. So
yeah, that's a bummer, man. Hopefully it all comes back and he's healthy, and we'll have to see.
Yeah, hopefully he can make a speedy recovery. The Spaniard, he's a good tennis player. Obviously, you want to see the most competition out there. You don't want to see the big name players injured.
Exactly. Agreed. But moving on. We don't have much news on that other than what just broke. We are going to talk about the Forbes list of the world's highest paid athletes.
That's right. So yesterday, Forbes came out with the top 100 paid athletes of 2016. So we're going to profile the top 10, really. We're going to talk about their salaries, their endorsements, exactly how much money they're making. And then we have some notables and some notables not even on the list as well.
Okay. So do you want to start off with I'll do odds, you do evens.
Okay.
All right. Number one on the list, to probably not a lot of people's surprise, is Cristiano Ronaldo. Soccer player, of course. Soccer player, Mundial, what do they say?
Extraordinaire.
Extraordinaire, that thing.
That's a good one.
He pays $88 million with $56 million in salaries and winnings, with a whopping $32 million endorsements. $32 million in endorsements.
Yeah, the Real Madrid left winger going to be profiled here in the Euro 2016, which starts off tomorrow for Portugal. As you mentioned, not a big surprise here. And then number two, probably right behind him as well, not a big surprise. If you look at the sport of football, soccer, you have the top two players. I'd say they're in reverse order here as far as money earnings.
I say money earnings is correct. I say, in my opinion, in terms of best in the game, it's reversed.
Yeah, so number two, we have the Argentine who plays for Barcelona, Lionel Messi, coming in at number two.
The Argentinian asteroid, I call him.
That's a great one. I love how you put the two A's together there, too.
You think that's good? Yeah, he earns $81.4 million, so just close to about 6.5 shy of the 88 Cristiano. Jeez.
There you go.
Ronaldo makes with $53.4 in salary and winnings for Messi there, with $28 million in endorsements. As you know, he does EA, he does Gatorade. So it's some pretty notable.
Yeah, he's been the cover athlete of FIFA for
every
the longest
year.
time. But shocker alert, he will not be the cover athlete this year.
No? All right, do you mean the one that he's sharing, or that was the last one they did, huh? Because it was
they usually do the sharing. In each country, it's a different person. So for the U.S., we had Alex Morgan, and then depending on which country you're buying the game in, it's a different person as well.
Yeah, I would be bummed if I lived in Europe or something, and I'm like, yeah, and then I'd have to look at Messi and like.
Yeah, for England, for England last year for FIFA 16, it was Messi and Jordan Henderson who plays for Liverpool.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, for this year they have like four athletes in one. Like they have like sort of the split like columns there with just their heads and their body. So there's James Rodriguez from Real Madrid. There's Marco Reus from Borussia Dortmund. There's Anthony Martial, the Frenchman who plays for Manchester United. There you go, Alex.
And Marco Reus. I mean, you're back to back with me there.
And then I think the last one is Eden Hazard, who is from Belgium and plays for Chelsea.
Okay. All right. Moving on to number three, the first non-soccer player on the list, LeBron James.
And no real surprise.
Yeah, no real surprise that he's in the top five. $77.2 million in pay. $23.2 million in salary and winnings, and $54 million in endorsements.
Yeah, LeBron's really racking the endorsements. I'd say he's one of the most recognizable names in the world, let alone America.
Mm-hmm. I would agree with you on that point. He's kind of transcendent of the sport now.
Definitely.
Moving on to four.
So number four, we have a new sport. We have tennis. And we have Roger Federer from Switzerland. So he's the first tennis player. I think it's really interesting because Federer sort of falling down there in the tennis ranks. Djokovic, who's also in the top 10, we'll get on him a little later, who's sort of the highest, the most recognizable, the best tennis player right now. But Federer does a lot of it in endorsements as well.
Yeah, so Federer makes $67.8 million in his pay. He makes $7.8 million only in salary and winnings, but he by far is the highest on this top 10 list in endorsements with $60 million.
That's where a lot of his money's coming in.
Mm-hmm. He is the highest by, I think the only closest to him is LeBron with 54. But next would be another basketball player, Kevin Durant, which is surprising in a sense, I guess, because you'd think bigger names. But Kevin Durant is number 5 on the list, $56.2 million in pay, $20.2 in salaries, and $36 million in endorsements.
Yeah, he's really big with Nike, I know.
So the basketball star there from Oklahoma City. Moving on to number 6.
So as we mentioned, we have the other tennis player on the top 10 list here, Novak Djokovic. So he's rolling in at number 6 here. Second on the tennis list.
And $55.8 million in pay, $21.8 in winnings, and $34 million in endorsements.
Yeah, winning all those high Grand Slam tournaments is really racking up.
That'll get you some money.
Yep.
Number 7 would be the first football player on the list, and Cam Newton from the Carolina Panthers, $53.1 million in pay there, $41.1 in winnings and earnings, salary winnings. That sense, I think, for football, it's more of your salary plus your kind of bonuses and
stuff. Your contract, your incentives, if you get a certain amount of yards, get to a certain amount of playoffs.
Touchdowns. $12 million, lowest, I believe, on the list of endorsement money there in the top 10. Yeah, 12 by far. The next lowest being 28. So lower down there, but he's still a young player, so we'll see if he gets some more endorsements. I feel like there's a lot of Cam Newton commercials last year.
Yeah, I know he's doing a lot with Dannon, the yogurt. He's really big with
That's
Under
Oikos.
Armour. Dannon Oikos, right?
No, Oikos 000.
Isn't it Dannon Oikos?
I don't know.
I thought it was.
I just know it's Oikos.
Maybe not,
Greek
but I know
yogurt.
He's really big with Under Armour as well. He's really big on social media as well. So.
Moving on to 8.
Yeah, number 8 is going to be another first for us here. It's our first golfer, and it's probably not who you think it is. It's going to be Phil Mickelson.
Phil Mickelson, $50 million in endorsements. $52 million.
Yeah, golf's got so many endorsements there. Because Mickelson's not really doing it on the winnings anymore. He's sort of an older guy. He's not really winning that much.
$52 million total in his pay. $50 million being endorsements, $2.9 being his winnings and earnings.
I mean, don't get me wrong, that's still a hefty salary. I'll take $2.9 million of salary, but he's not really doing it with the winnings anymore. He's doing it mainly on the endorsements now.
Oh, yeah, by far. We moved to number 9 in a fellow golfer, young Jordan Spieth, who came onto the scene late last year with a total of $52.8 million, $20 million, $20.8 pretty much in winnings.
That's unbelievable.
A few tournaments there, some championships. $32 million in endorsements.
Yeah, so he's sort of turning into the face of golf now.
Oh, yeah, especially with a young kid like that. It's a plus.
Yeah, and I think being here in America, too, as well. So we've had the legacy of American golfers. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And to top off the top 10.
Rounding out the top 10, we have a recently retired legendary basketball player, Kobe Bryant.
All right, Kobe Bryant, $50 million in pay this past year, 25 there. Pretty even, 25 in salary, 25 in endorsements.
I feel like Kobe's going to be even more rich now after he retires. He's already doing a lot of commercials. You see him all over if you watch the NBA Finals for the Ghostbusters movie coming up, I think
he's got
July 15th.
Yeah, he's going to have his movie that's going to be done. Michael B. Jordan playing Kobe Bryant.
Irony there.
Michael B. Jordan playing Kobe Bryant. Michael Jordan, is that what you mean?
Yeah, because everyone compares Kobe to MJ.
That's it. I guess that's pretty funny.
I think there's a little irony there, but
okay.
So yeah, we have Kobe rounding out the top 10.
Pretty good top 10, would you say?
I agree. Yeah, definitely, really diverse too. We have a lot of different sports here.
Okay, well we'll go ahead and list our notables, and then I can do a layout here of what each sport came into number-wise through the top 100, if you'd like.
Exactly. We will mention that as well. So First, rounding out the notables, this is going to be in order of where they rank as well. So number 12, I'd say, is one of the most shocking ones to me. Number 12, Tiger Eldrick Woods.
This is my favorite because his pay overall is $45.3 million. His endorsement is $45 million. His pay has been $274K.
Now, he's not rolling in the green on the greens anymore.
Not anymore. Yeah, so a fellow golfer there. Number 3 of our golfers of the 5 on this list. Tiger Woods, I didn't know he was even doing that many endorsements lately. So
he lost a lot of them after his whole scandals going on there. So, but I know he still has a lot of them as well.
Yeah, and I don't know if you listed on your notables, but then we have a run at quarterbacks here in the NFL. Eli Manning, Flacco, and Brady, respectively, going 13 to 15.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of times when you were looking at this list, there was a run of a certain sport going in there. So, yeah, our next notable we have is Floyd Mayweather at 16, coming in as the first boxer.
Yeah, so $44 million overall, $32 million in salary, and $12 million in endorsements.
Yeah, I think he won a lot of that in his last fight before.
God, he wins a lot of money in his fights, I'll tell you that.
Well, no, but I'm talking about with the Pacquiao sort of, that being his last fight. He's not boxing anymore, but he's still rolling in the dollars.
Rolling in dollars for a long time.
Team money, team.
Oh, Lord. What's next?
All right, so number 27, you mentioned the run on quarterbacks here. Number 27, we have Peyton Manning.
Freshly retired, Peyton the Forehead Manning, $34.2 million in salary. Well, overall, $19.2 only in salary there with a restructured contract to end his last couple of years there in Denver. And then, of course, the $15 million paid to him from what I can only expect being Papa John's in DirecTV.
And, like, nationwide. He's on star. Name a commercial, Peyton Manning's done it.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. But I want to say $15 million. I want to say $14 million from Papa John's.
Might be. All right, so at number 32, we have Usain Bolt, the Jamaican track star.
The
world's fastest
one and only track star.
Yeah, he's the only track player on the list in the top 100. He's rolling in at number 32.
$32.5 million in pay, $2.5 million in what he's earned in his races. That's a low, but $30 million there in low. I mean, that's still millions, but $30 million in endorsements there.
I think this is really surprising because especially with track, you really only have it coming up. Really at the Olympics, obviously you have the World Track Championships every year, but that's not really profiled as much. So I find it surprising that you have really an athlete who is only prominent once every 4 years for the most part.
In a big sense, yeah.
This high on this list.
Yeah, and he's only track star on the list, followed by there's only one MMA person on the list as well.
Yeah, we'll get to that person a little later. So at number 33, we have Clayton Kershaw, the Dodgers pitcher. He is the first baseball player on the Forbes Top 100 list.
And we're going to throw some fun information at you after this as well, because he's the first at 33, but he's not close to the last.
No,
so
definitely
Clayton Kershaw overall pays $32 million. This is what really gets me, as I feel like he has probably the lowest amount of endorsement money on this list. It's $31.2 million in salary, $800K in endorsements.
Yeah, it's really low, especially for a baseball player.
Well, think about it. Do you really ever see him in commercials?
Well, that speaks for his endorsements. Only $800,000. So.
Exactly, and excluding obviously, like every team does their own little commercials.
Right.
Being a Giants fan,
for obviously
seeing
like
A's stuff.
When you're watching like Comcast,
when you're watching their network.
Yeah. So number 37, I think another surprising name. It's going to be another baseball guy, another pitcher. It is Cliff Lee.
38.
38?
Yeah, sorry, 38.
Okay, 38. I apologize. Cliff Lee of the Phillies, which.
And I am sorry, he has the lowest endorsements. Yeah, I'll get to that when you're done.
Well, I mean, okay, this sort of piggybacks off of Alex here, but Cliff Lee has not pitched. Okay, he's pushing 2 years now.
Ben
he hasn't pitched since July 31st of 2014.
Yeah, Ben goes, when do you think he pitched last? I was like, I don't know, 2014? Boom, nailed that. He goes, I wonder how old he is. I was like, I don't know, probably like 37. How old is he, Ben?
He's exactly 37.
I'm on fire
at
today.
The end of August.
I'm on fire. But Cliff Lee, hasn't pitched for 2 years. Oh, coming up, what was the date you said?
July 31st.
So getting close.
Almost 2 years.
Yeah, almost 2 years. Getting close to 2 years. Yeah, he made $29.3 million with $29.2 in salary and $100K in endorsements.
What could his endorsement possibly be?
No idea.
What could he possibly endorse for
the farther we get on this list, I do find there's a lot of 100,000. So Olivier Vernon's next with 200K, and then you see Verlander at 41 with 600K. So actually, you know what? There's some lower endorsement money on here, but I don't. Yeah, Cameron Jordan 100K. Excuse me. I want to say that's probably the lowest. Is Cliff Lee / Cameron Jordan 100K.
Yeah. So at next rolling in our notable list is number 69. Okay. This is a surprising one to me with how popular of a player this is in his respective sport, and
the fact that he shares it with somebody. He's not even flat out at that position. He shares it with Jason Day, the golfer.
Okay, so he shares it with Jason Day, as Alex mentioned. So it's number 69, Steph Curry of the Warriors.
Yeah, 23.6. I mean, it makes sense. He's got a small contract.
Yeah, he hasn't got that.
He doesn't have that MVP unanimous contract, but he's got 23.6 total. He's got $11.6 million in salaries and pay. $12 million in endorsements.
Okay, so at number 71, next on our notable list, is the first NASCAR driver.
My favorite.
Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Yeah, I love me some Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Yeah, he's the most popular one. You'd think he'd be the first one. I know Jimmy Johnson's on the list as well. I don't have him written down here, but I know he's really close behind Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Yeah, Jimmy Johnson is, when I get around to it, I'll see it, I'm sure. But I don't want to keep scrolling to find it. 23.5 in pay, 15 million in salary, 8.5 in endorsements.
Yeah, so and at number 85 is our next notable here. He is the only MMA artist on this list.
Do you call them artists?
Mixed martial artist.
Oh, so MMA artist?
Yeah.
So mixed martial artist?
Yes.
That's a weird thing to say.
How about mixed martial artist fighter?
Sure.
Or just mixed martial artist?
How about that? Sure.
Okay.
MMA fighter, you could say. Also, real quick, 81. It's one of my biggest ones on the list. Just stands out to me. Bastian Schweinsteiger. Moving on.
Okay, so at number 85, we have Conor McGregor, the only MMA
only one
person on the list.
22 million overall, 18 million in salary, and 4 million in his endorsements. Not a huge amount, but being
MMA's
only
going up
MMA
there,
fighter, yeah.
And I think if you look at this list next year, there's going to be more than one name.
Yeah. And also something that stood out to me, number 85, that he shared with a few people, Eden Hazard, Conor McGregor, and who I'm speaking of now, David Ortiz, the fresh to retire Mr. David Ortiz, having the season of his life, 22 million, 16 million overall. Well, I'm sorry, 22 million overall, 16 in pay, and 6 in endorsements.
And then the last person we have on our notable list, and a lot of news surrounding her in the last 24 hours, is Maria Sharapova.
Mm-hmm. Maria Sharapova, for those of you who do not know, is suspended for 2 years for PEDs from tennis. So, unfortunately, she will be gone from the spotlight for 2 years. So this will probably fall off this list. But total now...
You think she has to.
Yeah, I'd imagine so. But total right now, 21.9 million, 1.9 in salary, 20 million, a whopping 20 million to that natural 1.9 in winnings and earnings, 20 million in endorsements. You'd like to think that some of those are going to go away.
A lot of them, definitely.
And that's pretty much most notable people. We have Canelo Alvarez, only one of the only boxers on the list behind Floyd. You have players... like Jason
Pacquiao's on that list too.
A-Rod's on there.
Canelo, though.
Number 100 on the list, Buster Posey.
Rounding out the list, Buster Posey.
You said, who did you think was on the list not far behind Dale Earnhardt? Yeah, Dale Earnhardt's only one of the...
Jimmy Johnson's up there as well.
He might be ahead of Dale, actually, because...
I don't believe so.
I didn't see it. Let me go to this real quick, and then we'll get you guys the info on how many for each sport. So
while Alex looks for Jimmy Johnson here, I found a really surprising name not to be on this list, and it's a fellow MMA fighter. Ronda Rousey is not on this list.
Okay. I wonder where she falls if they did a bigger list, if she would be on that.
I know she's sort of fallen off here with her last loss here to Holly Holm, but I'm surprised Rousey's not on this list.
Okay.
Especially what she does for the women's side of MMA.
True. And yes, no, I'm sorry, Dale Earnhardt and then Jimmy Johnson at 82. I must have just swiped right past
there we go.
22.2 overall, 16.2, and 6 million in endorsements. So, Ben, would you like to know how this shapes out per sport?
I would like to know. Actually,
well,
I already know because it's right in front of me.
No, I'll tell you. Okay, so for those of you out there, let me put my feet up and read this out.
Okay.
The number one sport in terms of amount on this list, baseball.
Which I find surprising because their first person coming on the list not till Clayton Kershaw at 33.
Exactly, but like I said, they did not lack players and people on this list after that. Number 2 on the list comes with American football, 21.
No surprise there with how much revenue that brings in.
Mm-hmm. And then followed, not closely, but not far behind at 18 with basketball.
I agree. Definitely basketball is becoming more of a global sport now, so you have a spread there worldwide, not just here in America.
12 with soccer.
I figured there'd be a lot more with this. Soccer being the most popular sport in the world, really big in Europe, South America, Latin America. I'm surprised it's not more names on this list.
Yeah, I'm surprised with only 12, but I digress. 7 with tennis.
Yeah, another worldwide popular sport.
Sure to be at least 6 next year.
Yeah, I got to imagine that Sharapova goes down on this list.
And tennis is growing. It always grows as a sport. Followed closely behind by 1 there with racing, 6.
Yeah, we didn't mention any racing, but Lewis Hamilton comes in at number 1 at racing with number 11.
Then it drops to 3, boxing.
Yep, we mentioned we have Mayweather, we have Canelo Alvarez, and Manny Pacquiao coming in at boxing.
And then a tie for last place with 1 each, like we said, track with Usain Bolt, and MMA with Conor McGregor.
Definitely. So there is your top 100 Forbes list of paid athletes in 2016. Again, we'll do a top 10 rundown. We have Cristiano Ronaldo, Lionel Messi, LeBron James, Roger Federer, Kevin Durant, Novak Djokovic, Cam Newton, Phil Mickelson, Jordan Spieth, and Kobe Bryant.
Any surprising names on that list for you? Or do you agree with all of them?
In the top 10?
Mm-hmm.
I agree. I could see these guys being in the top 10, definitely.
All right.
I would have, like I said, I think the biggest surprise here is Stephen Curry at 69. I think he'd be a lot higher. Obviously, he'll be higher once he gets his contract, but with the amount of endorsements he has and his popularity, I figured he'd be a lot higher on this list.
That's true. But it makes sense because of the contract. But you know what, Ben?
What?
That's all the news we have for this week. It's our last show until Tuesday.
It is, unfortunately.
Unfortunately. But you know what, guys? We'll be back on Tuesday with a recap of the finals. We'll be talking to you, like we said, on our last show. If I think that night would be a Game 7 for the NHL finals. So
if it got there.
So, of course, we'll talk to you about that. Or we'll just, recap about the Penguins winning. And we will talk about all of the finals information on both sides of the fence. And then don't forget to tune in to our soccer show either, because in the sports world, we have the UEFA 2016 championships going, the Euro 2016, and Copa America.
That's right.
Ben starts his baseball show today, so you guys check out the GSMC Baseball Podcast with my football co-host, Jeremiah. And check out all of the other shows on our wonderful GSMC Podcast Network. We've talked about them every week. You know them by now. GSMCpodcast.com. You can see all of our wonderful shows. You can follow us, Ben and I, at GSMC_sports on Twitter, where I'm sure you could find our respective Twitter accounts on there. If you want to get to know us and see our pretty faces, you can.
Well, my Twitter avatar is.
It's not your face, so.
It's like one of those Snapchats where it's someone else, and it's really not that pretty. So
don't even look up Ben. And again, we have new episodes for you guys every Tuesday and Thursday. Don't go anywhere. Have a good weekend. Actually, travel. I don't mean don't go anywhere, but don't come back and see us on Tuesday.
Definitely. Even if you are traveling, get on your phone, get on your computer, and listen to us.
Yeah. You guys have a good weekend out there in the world. Be safe, and we will see you again on Tuesday.
Yes, sir. Make sure as Alex mentioned, you have the GSMCpodcast.com. You can also subscribe on iTunes, whatever podcast playback feature you like, whether it be Stitcher, SoundCloud, etc. Make sure you are finding some way to listen. They're all great. No matter which way you're listening, it's a positive for everyone.
Yeah, just take a look, but always don't forget us here at the Golden State Media Concept Sports Podcast. As Ben and I like to say, it's almost like a kiss from a rose.
It is.
Have a good weekend, guys. We'll see you on Tuesday.
Goodbye, everyone.